Hello again, and welcome to another episode of the Fun Fans Podcast. I'm your host, James Dillard. With me, as always, my co-host, Bailey Jackson. How you doing, B?
Hey, man. How you doing? And glad to have Ricky Sapp here today, but it is Memorial Day, so we got to wear a little something for the United States of America. So thanks for everybody who served, and we'll recognize you today.
Yeah, here in just a second. Yeah, it is really excited to have Coach Ricky Sapp with us. We're going to talk a little bit of ACC football at some point. We're definitely going to talk some baseball, softball, what's going on in Clemson sports. And we have another huge announcement. It seems like every show we have one huge announcement after another, but that just makes it even cooler. But before we get started, the Fun Fans are a proud part of the Fanboys Fangirls Sports Podcasting Network. If you're a true sports fan, the Fanboys Fangirls is perfect for you. Find various nationwide podcasts and other sports media at thefanboys.com and all platforms of social media. The Fun Fans is the official podcast for Clemson fans. And Bailey, where is our official place to dine?
Reuben's Food, Sports, Spirits, and Catering, the best wings around, with 2 locations in the upstate. There's a location in Greer at 1083 Batesville Road and 11028 Anderson Road in Piedmont. You can find them at ReubenC.com, and it's just simply a great place to eat, especially for Tiger fans.
Yes, sir. It's awesome. All right. So like Bailey said, this is Memorial Day, and most of the times, if anybody watches our show, any special occasion, we normally do something silly and fun. But really, when it comes to Memorial Day, the best way to honor this, and especially if you know anything about, radio, podcasting, whatever, is with a moment of silence. So if you don't mind, if everybody would, we're just going to pause in honor of those that paid the ultimate price with a moment of silence. All right, thank you very much. Now, all right, so I don't know any better way to do that, but I appreciate Coach Sapp's time. I appreciate him being here, and so we're going to introduce former Clemson and NFL linebacker and current football assistant strength coach, a 2010 draft by the Philadelphia Eagles, and my man's also a dancer, a podcast. I mean, he's just kind of a jack of all trades. Coach Ricky Sapp with us here this morning. How you doing, Coach Sapp?
Man, if I was any better, I'd be y'all, man. How y'all doing?
It better you'd be twins.
That's right. I heard that.
There you go.
I heard that. Well, we sent Coach Sapp a few questions, and like I said, we might add a little bit. We try to have a good time. I've got one of his videos queued up. I mean, if you hadn't seen any of this guy's stuff on social media, you're in for a good time. But just first of all, Coach, tell us how you ended up back at Clemson as the strength coach.
Well, 3 years prior, I was working at St. James High School, where I was coaching high school football and running the weight room. And I always wanted to get, into the college weight room and get some experience. So 2 years ago now, I guess, reached out, to Coach Sweeney and, kind of put it in his ear. And I started the job last year in January. So it's definitely been exciting to be on this side of it. But it's more exciting just to be back home with the Clemson family.
I heard that.
Yeah, and you said you worked in the weight room in high school. Well, we're both high school people. I'm an athletic director and 27 years in, and I've seen some of the best strength coaches working in high schools. But it's a full-time year-round job, and I mean, I know you know that, but when you went back to, if you could think back to when you were being recruited, what made you pick Clemson University?
Man, you put me on the spot on this one. Well, when I was being recruited, long story short, Clemson wasn't really, a top school for me. But what ended up happening was I kept coming back, and every time I left, I would tell my high school coaches, I'm like, man, it feels pretty good when I go there. So I kept coming back, and I fell in love with the place, man. I had, amazing recruiters that recruited me, and it definitely worked out really well for me.
Yeah.
That's a very common answer, isn't it, Bailey? There's just something about it. It feels good when you're there.
Man. It's something
we agree. We agree.
Yeah, we definitely agree. I was not even recruited now. Coach, this is the bonus question, the one we didn't send you. So I definitely don't mean to put you on the spot. But like Bailey said, he and I are both former high school coaches and we've moved into administration.
Nice.
And that hype video that rolls the team into the fourth quarter in Death Valley is just like, I mean, it's right up your alley, I'm sure. Yeah. And that quote where you don't put rings on soft hands. If I've told, that's the perfect quote. If I told high school kids, something very similar for years and years and years, and a lot of times that just don't seem to sink in with high school kids. At the level you're at now, these high level, very, very talented, very highly recruited college kids, has that finally sank in with these kids?
I think so. I think definitely when you see the success that, Clemson football has had, I think coming in, they know that, hey, you got to put in the work. You're not going to put those rings on smooth hands. So what Coach Sweeney and his amazing staff has created was a culture of, the best is the standard, So I think that they have a very good understanding of you do not put rings on smooth hands. So you got to put the work in. So I think they definitely get it. Yeah.
I'm trying to get my daughter's a rising junior volleyball player, and she's get her in the weight room and as much as we possibly can. She does pretty good. I got to give her a little bit of credit. So good. I'm sure everyone asks you this question. I know when I was doing the research course, I remember watching you play. Love watching. It's just so exciting to watch players like yourself play as a Clemson fan. But you were there when the Bowden era ended and the Dabo era began. This might be a little different type question because this is a podcast about how fun it is being a fan. Mm-hmm. That Bowden Bowl stuff was so hype. And even though when it first started, we were getting our tails handed to us, but let's just be honest, when it first started. But it was hype. It was hyped up. It was all over ESPN. Hard to get a ticket and all this kind of stuff. What was that like from a player standpoint? Was it any extra hype around that game, or was it just like another game for you guys?
Man, I think it was definitely like, some hype with it, especially that week going into it, and Coach Bowden didn't overdo it by talking about it. We knew what it was. He playing his dad, and we had to come with it. He wanted to beat his dad. That was it. So
right.
anytime you can beat Florida State, come on.
Right.
So I think the fact that it was against his dad, who was a legendary coach, it just made it that better. So we definitely enjoyed the hype around it.
We enjoy all the hype.
Yeah.
And now everything's hype.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And from a player standpoint, you were there when we went through a mid-season transition from Coach Bowden to Coach Sweeney. What was that like as a player?
Man, it was definitely a tough moment because Coach Bowden recruited a lot of us, not all of us. He definitely recruited me. Sitting in my parents' living room recruited me. So it was definitely a tough moment to see him go. But I think the best thing they did was they brought in a coach that was already on the staff, who we knew, and we knew what he would bring to the table. So, it was almost like, hey, we just handed it off to another family member. Right. So we transitioned, pretty well with Coach Sweeney because we knew who he was, and the older guys on the team did a very good job of also helping and keeping us focused and looking ahead at what we had to get done. So it was definitely a hard transition, but I think they did the right thing by bringing in a guy that we already knew really well.
Well, hindsight now, they definitely brought in the right guy.
Yeah.
But a lot of folks give credit to former players laying a foundation for the success. Players like yourself, Taj Boyd, et cetera, laying the foundation for the national championship. And some folks give credit to Coach Bowden about how he kind of turned the program around to a certain extent. And you could say he laid a foundation for Dabo. And even Bailey and I have talked before, if you really think about it, you could go back to what Coach Ford and those folks did as far as being able to build up the program and building up the boosters and that type thing. And, personally, I think all of that kind of lends to the success that any program has later on. Do you feel that? Well, as a player, you were a part of that and part of those transitions. Do you feel that way yourself?
Most definitely. I think definitely as I got older, I was like, man, the guys that came before us, they set the foundation. And then when I was playing, I didn't really, when you playing, you don't really think about it. But when I was playing with such amazing players like C.J. Spiller and Cullen Hopper and all those guys, we were setting the foundation for the next guy. So just blessed to be able to say that I was part of, one of these Clemson football teams that was able to lay a little brick on the foundation, and now these guys are taking it up and high. So it's definitely amazing to see, man. It really is.
Definitely.
Yeah. What would you say as a player? What's your favorite memory as a player?
Well, of course, my first game in Death Valley, man. I remember we played Florida Atlantic, my first game in Death Valley, and I was playing behind the late, great Gaines Adams. Mm-hmm. And my first play going in, I run in, and I look in the stands, and my dad and my mom stands up, and this is I'll never forget. My dad stands up and he does this, and I'm like, "What?
It's coming."
I was like, "What are you doing, Dad?" Well, in that moment, I didn't really think about it, but man, that's a special moment for me, man. To run in my first ever play at Clemson, and to see my mom and dad stand up, and my dad do that with his hands, and that's my favorite moment, man. It really is.
That's awesome. Well, I can imagine. Yeah. That's awesome. So, but as a player, thinking back to those days when you were at Clemson, and once again, this being a podcast about being a fan, did you attend other athletic events? Did you go to basketball games, baseball games, or anything like that?
Well, I dated an amazing, beautiful woman that played college basketball. So I went to a good amount of college basketball games. And, it was always good to go to those. We would definitely walk by some baseball games and check those out. Jacoby and CJ ran track, so we would definitely go watch them win and then leave.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Was there any person on earth faster than Jacoby?
I don't think so.
That dude was ridiculous.
It made practice fun, man. It was so fun practicing with those guys.
I bet.
Yeah.
And a lot of folks we get on here, Bailey, they talk about going to the baseball. Everybody we used to really enjoy going to baseball games. We were students. That was good times.
Yeah, well, I later I fell in love with Jack Leggett, man. I'm a huge Jack Leggett fan. I love that dude, man. So yeah.
Hoping to go this weekend.
Well, it shows you what he meant to a lot of people because they brought him back to work with the team again this year. But so some of those guys you mentioned, you still keep in touch with them? The Spiller, I mean, obviously CJ Spiller's right there with you. The James Davises of the world, Jacoby Fords.
Yeah, man. We do a pretty good job keeping in touch with all those guys, man. We really do. Yep.
That's cool. All right, so we're going to talk about some things outside of football. Like I said before, Coach Sapp is also a motivational speaker, podcaster. Let's see what I got right here. Let me just show the fans if they haven't already seen.
Oh man, what is this? Something good?
Oh. This is my favorite. Yeah, I found this one. This one's great.
Oh yeah.
Old school.
Yeah. I was
teaching the kids.
This is my signature dance, man. Oh man, they did an amazing
Running
job.
Man. I mean, you can't go wrong with the Running Man.
But watch this little girl. She comes in and kill it. I think the little girl she comes in. What you doing? Not her. Another girl comes in. She kills it. Here she goes. Kills it. Watch her. Got to slide down. That's amazing.
Good stuff.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, helping the kids out. I need to stop this. And like I say, I'm doing all this by myself. Yeah, that's pretty cool. So how did you get into what made you get into I know you ended up high school for a little while, to the doing stuff with the kids and all the dancing and stuff?
Well, long story short, I was transitioning out of the NFL and I was in the weight room with the Quan Bowers, and this coach from North Myrtle Beach High School came and asked us to come speak. And we like, all right, we'll do it. Anyway, we go and speak, leave. He asked me to come be a volunteer coach. I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. I play football. So he asked me again. I went and did it. And what ended up happening at North Myrtle Beach High School was God showed me what my purpose was. It was to encourage kids and work with kids. And then right after that, he was like, you need to be doing motivational speaking. I'm like, what? I took speech classes. I stuttered. Like, no, I don't do that. So anyway, that's kind of how I figured it out, man. You know, working with kids, that my purpose was to work with them and to travel the world and tell them a speech. We'll give them a speech.
Amen.
And then I became the dancing motivational speaker.
Yeah. Bailey, would the kids at Clover benefit more from the dancing or the speeches, you think?
Either one.
Hey, I'm ready. Let's do it.
Yeah. The kids at my school, I don't know, they're a little shy sometimes, but is there anything else? What are we missing? So you got Talk to Me Tuesdays is the name of his podcast, and I've listened to that, and I'm telling you, don't have the volume up too high, by the way, especially when he first starts, if you're going to check this thing out. But
well, first, man, I gotta say thank you, man. I appreciate you checking it out. Yeah, I got my podcast. It's called Talk to Me Tuesday Podcast. It's a motivational podcast where I come on and I do sing a little bit, but I just try to encourage people, man. Yep, I do it every Tuesday. Yep.
Well, so I don't mess it up. I obviously is on Spotify and whatnot. Where should folks go if they want to find your material or be able to contact you for a motivational speaking gig?
So I have my own website, and it's called rickysapp.com.
Okay.
So you can go on there and contact me. I also have my own nonprofit foundation. It's called the Ricky Sapp Foundation as well. And you can go on there and request me to come speak as well.
Very good. We post all the links that we talk about during the show every time we post a show. And I mean, we ask everybody. We forgot there for a while. I don't know what happened, but there was a certain question that we were asking all our fans, just semi as a joke, mainly because my students at my school were asking me why they were asking me if I could do the gritty. I don't know, but it transferred over to our podcast. We were asking our guests, can they do the gritties? Now, I know good and well, Coach Ricky Sapp.
I'm pretty sure he can do it.
Can do the gritty.
I can definitely do the gritty, but only because the kids have showed me how to do it. So I can definitely do it. Definitely.
Ain't that true? All right. So, okay. Definitely putting you on the spot here. So feel free to say no. Is there any way we can get you to do the gritty for us, Real? Some of our fans don't even know what the gritty is.
Let me tell you something, man.
We got an expert on the show today.
Let me tell you something, man. I am the dancing motivational speaker. Anytime you ask me to dance, I'm going to dance, man.
There you go.
I can get gritty for you a little bit, man. You ready?
Anybody didn't know what to gritty. Here we go.
Here we go. Here's the gritty. Then you can pause with it a little bit.
Yeah.
All right.
That's the gritty right there.
You are the first guest that's actually done the gritty on the podcast.
Hey.
Congratulations. Never met a strength coach that was not high energy. So I was really looking forward to that.
It's about pointless if you got a strength coach that's not high energy. Right. Well,
yeah, gotta have it.
Coach, we appreciate you coming on the show. Bailey and I will be, let's see, we're in that first section lined up with the end zone when you come out. Wait a minute, the team's gonna come out a little different this year.
Bit different, yeah, right under the yep.
Well, we're over there on the right, about halfway up the lower bowl. We'll be hollering for you if you get a chance. And supposedly, what's the deal if we had a kicker on here, and if he hits punter, if he pins the other team inside the 5 on that west end zone, I'm supposed to do the gritty. So it's kind of a deal.
Aiden Swanson was on.
Aiden Swanson, yeah.
He can do it too. He will do it.
Yeah.
He will do it.
So if you hear somebody hollering, and we're just cheering for you, just like we're cheering for all the players and big time Tiger fans, graduates back in the 90s. And we appreciate you being on. I don't know any other way to thank you more than just to say thank you again, for sure.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, fellas.
All right, good luck to you.
Thanks
and go Tigers. Here. How cool was that?
Good guess. Awesome.
So I mean, I figured he would do the gritty, but but see, that kind of steps it up. Should we start asking any of our other guests to also?
Well,
do the gritty?
He was able just to be mobile right there, just go straight to the dance floor. But I don't know. It depends on who the guest is.
Yeah, I think it definitely would depend on who the guest is. All right, well, man, that was cool. All right, but before we go, well, we're not going. We got to get on to our normal stuff. Just a quick reminder about Wayne Buckingham's fundraiser coming up the first weekend in August. Let me get my little graphic going here. It's going to be a tailgate and a gala and some golfing going on. And listen, the bottom line is Tim Bourret has said that this will be a historic event because this is the first time so many of these guys have been back in one place at one time. Horace Grant, Dell Davis, LaVon Kirkland, Michael Dean Perry, Coach Danny Ford, et cetera, et cetera. The list goes on and on. Like I said, we'll post the links to this along with some other stuff that we talk about during our show. But if you don't have a $50 ticket, you need to get it. If you would like to be a sponsor, we can also help you with that, along with the WAB alumni fundraising situation, the Orange and White Weekend. All right. Also, another reminder, we are channel 24 on WSB. We're on the TV. So that's kind of cool. And there's some other little things in the works there, maybe on some other platforms. But as we roll into our normal sports updates, it's always good to be able to announce championship, baby. Woo!
That's it.
ACC
There's no
champion.
doubt that Clemson baseball is the hottest baseball team in America with 21 out of their last 22 games they have won. They are now ranked number 4. And I want you to think about this. At the start of May, they were not ranked in the top 25 by Baseball America. And now they're 4. They were 17-14 their first 31 games. And they're since April 7th, they are 26-3. All right. So, and it is a fun team to watch. And they have what many have called, if you're not familiar, James, you know Mr. Shohei Ohtani that plays for the Angels?
No, I do not.
Oh, well, I didn't think you would. So that's why I mentioned him. Plays first base, he DHs and he pitches. So his numbers are similar to Babe Ruth's in his first couple of years. So Caden Grice also does the same thing for Clemson, and he's been called the Shohei Ohtani of college baseball. And that is a huge compliment because Ohtani's like just a freakish baseball player, and Grice is pretty good too.
Could they just shorten it to Shohei or
Ohtani?
Ohtani. That's two names.
He pitched in the All-Star game, and he was in the home run derby. You never see that.
Yeah, that's anyway, pretty amazing. All
right. Lady Tiger softball, if you watched the game Saturday.
Oh, wait a minute. Yeah. Baseball. One more thing. I have
sorry.
Besides the fact that I was kind of nervous on the winning streak, it was like, you know how baseball is. I'm kind of bound to lose, quote unquote, and they didn't. Super impressed. But did you know that the only ACC team to have a first-year coach win the ACC championship is Clemson? And not only that, the past 3 coaches have done it.
Correct.
That's pretty crazy. And
Bill Wilhelm, 1958, Monty Lee, Jack Leggett, and now Coach Bakich.
And we are hosting.
Yes, we are.
We're, like Bailey said, we're number 4 in some polls, and we're projected to be definitely in the top 8 as far as seeding goes.
Well, they've already announced that.
We are hosting.
Noon today is when the entire field will be set.
Yep.
But so as a top 8 seed, if you win your regional, you get to host
Super. Yep.
The Super Regional. So, hey, one step at a time, but Omaha's looking like something that's a reality. And like I said early in the year, man, it was like they're 2-8 in ACC play.
Definitely was not looking like this type of season early in the year, but I hope to be there. Bailey, maybe we're going to be there this weekend and get some tickets and watch some baseball and do some tailgating, do a little fun fan action. All right. Softball.
All right. Softball had Oklahoma beat twice.
Had them
Saturday and would have forced an elimination game. That doesn't mean they would have beat them in the third game.
Correct.
But had it down to up 3 with 2 outs and 2 strikes and gave up. If the fence was 206 feet, she hit it 209.
Yeah.
But that's why Oklahoma's Oklahoma. I mean, that's a tough place to play, and there's no guarantee you would have won the third game. But Clemson's only in their 4th year of existence, so it's amazing what they've done.
2 really, really good softball teams. That was also some good games to watch. It would have been really cool to see a third game in that one, but definitely hats off to the Lady Tiger softball team for an outstanding season. And the bottom line is they've played the best team in the country the past 2 years. So as coaches, we say the good thing about it, they know where they need to be. They know, they see what it takes, et cetera, et cetera. And that's
they're
true.
very, very close.
Yeah, there's a lot of truth to that, and you're correct. They're very, very close. Now, 2 questions.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, one's a question. Is it just easier to hit a home run in softball? There's more home runs in college softball? There were a good handful in the baseball games too, but it's like every time somebody steps up to the plate, they could tie it.
Well, James, the fence is only 205 feet.
Well, but that's
210 feet.
physics, though. The ball's also bigger and softer and blah,
yeah,
blah,
but
blah.
if you barrel up a softball and you get a little bit of lift on it, hit the bottom third of the ball.
So in other words, yes, the answer, yeah, okay, that's what I thought.
And these are the best softball players in the country.
They're killing it. They're
some of the best in the world.
Well, did you watch? Is it just me, or they're reviewing? Which they kind of did it with baseball too. Have they increased the reviews because it's postseason?
Yeah,
or
if we have a review system, let's get it right. Now, Major League Baseball, I watch a ton of Major League Baseball, and their review system is all in New York. It's just like football, just like NBA, whatever, and it's very quick. Like it's super quick. And like at Clemson, or when Clemson was playing at, like, I think Virginia Tech, there was a couple reviews. They had to go like all the way into the building and then all the way back out. So that does take time. But hey, they reviewed Will Taylor's home run yesterday, and good thing they did, because the guy touched it.
Oh, yeah.
Even though the Miami fan was like, I didn't touch it.
Yeah,
you did.
He was famous there for a bit. Speaking of being a fan, well, I don't know. I agree, but wish they do it quicker, faster. Is there a limit? Or they just review whatever they think they want to review? The coaches have to call for it? I'm not sure about that. I don't think
so in the NCAA. I think it's, I do know in Major League Baseball, the coach has a challenge. He'll say, I want you to challenge it. And if you win, you keep it. If you lose, you don't have another one. But these are generated by the umpire crew most of the time.
Gotcha. Well, I do agree with getting it right. All right, last spring sport, we've talked a little bit about the Lady Tiger golf team. The team, they were finishing the tournament during our last show. They did not advance, but Savannah Gruel, hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly, advanced as a singles player and ended up finishing 48th, which in golf is pretty good. But the key thing is this was the best finish and the best round in an NCAA national by a women's Tiger golfer like ever. So congratulations to Savannah on that one. So that's awesome. And then we have a little bit of winter sports news coming out this week. I guess you heard about that.
Yeah, PJ Hall was always coming back.
You think so?
Yeah.
Okay.
You declare for the draft so you can go take part in the NBA Combine. All right, so he goes for 3 or 4 days and he works out with all these potential NBA guys to see where he is.
Like a camp.
In the process. It's just like a camp, a high-level camp. And if you're not – there's only 2 rounds in the NBA. There's only 2 rounds.
Right.
All right. So if you're not going to be in the first round or high second round, you normally come back.
Right.
And so now, all right, if you ask me about basketball, I got basketball info.
Let's hear it.
Right? So you add PJ Hall back to the mix. That's 17.5 points a game. Hold up.
We've had some portal stuff.
Chase Hunter,
who
was the point guard last year, is I think he's a future pro.
Yep.
All right. Shiflin's back, Godfrey's back, Dylan Hunter's back, Beadle has significant playing time. And then you add Joe Girard from Syracuse, who has major ACC experience and was the 6th leading scorer in the ACC last year at 17.8 points a game. He's on the Jerry West watch list for best point guard in the country.
Wow. You
add Jack Clark, who is a 6'9" wing who started 17 games at NC State last year and averaged almost 10 points a game. You have Jake Hydebreeder, or Bretter, who averaged 15.5 points a game last year as a freshman at Air Force. And he was a Mountain West All-Conference selection.
Awesome.
And then you add a big man from UNC Greensboro. His name is Boss Leite. He's from overseas, but he's 6'10", and he basically replaces Middlebrooks, who left to go to NC State. So, and then they have a high-level freshman coming in, Asa Thomas. And so the future is so bright, I need to wear shades.
Can't wait. Looking forward to it. Guess who else's future is bright?
J-Doos.
J-Do, MC, entertainer, entrepreneur, pep rallies, corporate events, game shows, fundraisers, galas, etc. Just put that man on the mic and let him liven up the party. Not only is J-Do a friend of mine, I've seen him work. You and your organization will not be disappointed anytime you add J-Do to your function. You can find him at itsjdo.com and on all forms of social media at itsjdo. Now, just a couple of other updates outside of the athletic field and or court. We kept our eye on what the ACC ADs did down there in Miami, and the board of directors has voted on one of the little topics they were talking about, and not really getting into the details, but the postseason money, not the TV revenue. Everybody gets the money. They're still going to split that evenly, but they have decided to change how they distribute the postseason earnings. So the ones that make it to the postseason will get some versus ones that don't, and depending on playoffs versus a bowl game, et cetera,
Right.
you should get more money. So that should benefit. I mean, it just kind of makes sense. You're going to benefit the teams that brought the money into the conference, and I don't know how much difference it'll be, but that's a little step in what I think may be in the right direction. But real quick, they also came out as this is not new as far as they're not having two divisions. The ACC's not having the two divisions next year. That's been announced. The schedule's been out for a while. But so how do they decide who's going to play in the ACC championship game? It's going to be the team with the best record. They've come out with the tiebreakers. So we'll take a look at these real quick. Obviously, head-to-head competition. Okay, and if they play each other, you don't really need number two, right?
Correct.
Yeah, once you clear one of these, you don't need the next one. Win percentage versus all common opponents. Okay, win percentage versus common opponents based on their order of finish, overall conference win percentage with tie broken and proceeding through other. So hopefully we never make it to number 3 because I'm confused now.
Well, I mean, look, we do that in high school now. It's just not worded like that.
Okay.
So you figure out how many, 1 through 6 in your conference, and you get a point value if you beat the number 2 team or you beat the number 3 team. Same thing.
All right.
It's just worded differently.
Combined win percentage of conference opponents. Okay. The tied team with the higher ranking by the team rating score metric provided by Sport Source Analytics following the conclusion of regular season games.
Okay.
So this is where I really do have a question. If we're really trying to understand this, and we're only going to spend about 30 more seconds trying, you should never, ever need a number 6, because if you've gone to some poll
Right.
and how the Sports Source Analytics got to be that poll, there's got to be one team ahead of the other, right?
Well, yeah, they're never going to get to number 6. They're never going to get to number 5.
Never
really.
going to, hopefully never get to number 3.
Yeah, I mean, it's just they have to be in there in case it does happen.
That's right.
And like as a high school AD, I can tell you there's a 5 and 6 on our tiebreakers for all of our sports, and only rarely have we gotten to that point. Like, matter of fact, one sport this year didn't have a number 4, and we needed it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. We almost needed it. If somebody had beaten somebody on the last night, we would have needed a meeting to decide how we were going to do that.
I was about to ask how far down the list you've ever been, and so you exhausted a three bullet list.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
What do you do? We do some coin tosses. I know.
We're not. I'm not a fan of flipping a coin for a playoff spot. Okay,
that's right.
You mean you could go play this team versus this team based on your seed. We're going to build in time at the end to play it. Everybody's going to put on their stuff. We're going to go play the game.
Try to play it off. That's right. I like that much better. Neutral site. Come use the Blazers gym. That's always good. We'll open the concession stand.
Right.
All right. Well, one kind of last thing on the note of Memorial Day, we haven't mentioned our partnership with Homes for Troops recently, but what better day than Memorial Day to bring that back up again? If you go to thefanboys.com website. You scroll to the bottom, you can see how you can help us help build homes for troops. And we do appreciate we're proud to be a part of that, and would appreciate any other support given. So thefanboys.com, scroll to the bottom, and you will see how you can help with that. And just kind of one more thing, Bailey, have you ever been to Arlington Cemetery?
Yes.
It's something else. This is a picture I took myself last spring. We were up there with my daughter in grad school. We're looking for apartments, and we saw the changing of the guards, but highly recommend. And anything like that, if you get in that area, get the opportunity, and it'll give you a feeling that that you kind of might not want, but it's probably one we all need as we celebrate our freedom every day.
Yeah,
here in the United States of America.
Briefly, this weekend is a big weekend for me personally with a group that I'm in, and we do a golf tournament every Memorial Day, and we have a veteran that speaks Saturday night at our dinner, and he reads a little. He always reads something different every year, but he challenged us to get our kids to understand why Memorial Day is celebrated, how it started, why we do it, and then what it means to veterans. You know, some veterans we celebrate on Memorial Day, and it's really a day of reflection and mourning for them. So just keep that in mind, and tell your kids, if you're out there listening, what it's all about. And I told my son this morning, I said, "What do you know what Memorial Day is all about?" And he said, "Well, not really." I said, "Well, I'll tell you later." You know, so good stuff.
Agreed. 100% agreed. All right. Speaking of other good stuff, we are going to give away a koozie. Thanks in part to our friends at
Diamond Edge Products. And then put the hat back on for Memorial Day.
There you go.
They have mastered the diamond laser engraving process, and they can put almost any design on items such as license plates, yard signs, tumblers, water bottles, and more. For a high quality, forever lasting, custom engraved product, check out Diamond Edge Products at diamondedgedproducts.com, and you can email Jaylin, Jaylin, at Diamond Edge Products for more questions, or to order, or to get your Fun Fans merchandise.
Fun Fans merch keeps cold stuff cold and hot stuff hot. All right, and this week's koozie goes to,
drum roll, please.
Drum roll. Rebecca Peeler. Rebecca, congratulations. Being part of the Fun Fans network listening audience, and I will be reaching out to Rebecca Peeler very soon to get your mailing information so I can get you your koozie. Now, one last huge announcement that I knew it was in the works, but I just got permission to announce it last night. Speaking of Diamond Edge Products, Diamond Edge Products is now an officially licensed partner for Clemson University merchandise. And this is just a couple examples I threw together on a collage, few license plates. I'm talking about high quality stuff, and same thing with the tumblers and the water bottles and this type thing. So there are up to 23 items so far that they are able and approved to produce. So these definitely are just a small sample, and you can find more of these. You can email Jaylin, and there's also a link to a website that we will post, like I say, when I post all this other stuff. So congratulations to one of our sponsors, Diamond Edge Products. They'll have a table set up at the Orange and White fundraiser in August, but you do not have to wait till then to get your officially licensed Clemson merchandise from Diamond Edge Products. Awesome. So, man, what a great show. Coach Sapp, that was awesome. Did the gritty for us.
He was good.
Big things going on with Clemson baseball. We're all caught up with the spring sports. And next week, we plan to be back at our normal time, Sunday at 8 p.m. So thanks again for checking us out each and every week. Don't forget to click and subscribe on your favorite platform. We're on all the podcast platforms and social media, YouTube, etc., at Fun Fans Podcast. Make sure you subscribe. We're going to continue to bring you great shows with great fans. Hope everyone has a wonderful Memorial Day. On behalf of the Fun Fans Podcast, Jay Thrilla Entertainment, the Fanboys, Fangirls Podcast Network, and Bailey Jackson,
It's only 99 days till football kickoff. Go Tigers.
Go Tigers.